Hello, how are you? This is Edith. And yeah, I came across a video by Dr. Taylor Marshall. I've mentioned him before several times. It's not that I'm following him, it's just he's following me, I guess. Or at least I don't know. Somebody wants me to listen to him. Catholic. If you've watched my videos before, he's a Catholic theologian, philosopher. I think he has a PhD in philosophy. So probably Catholic philosophy, which is a little bit different. Theological, philosopher. Anyways, he is one of these extreme Catholics that want to go back to Latin Mass. And of course, he also believes that Peter is the first pope. Now, unfortunately, he hasn't done his research. He should. My goodness, if he's a PhD doctor, he should know. Who was the first one, or who can trace papacy, its name back, Pope? Who is that first Pope of the Roman Catholic Church? It's definitely not Peter. Another name for this Pope is Pontifex Maximus. Looked up the name. I know it's Latin called Supreme Pontiff, was the chief high priest of the College of Pontiffs in ancient Rome. Of course, chief high priest, right, of the Roman pagan religion. That's what Pope is. Pope or Papa, father, right? That's what Pope means. He is the head of the religious system of Rome. And who was the first person that was actually the Pope in the Catholic Church and also Pope of Rome? That's always the emperor. The emperor was always of Rome. The empire was always this Pontifex Maximus. So in reality, the first Pope was Constantine, who actually founded the Roman Catholic Church. He's the founder. It's not even Peter. It is Constantine who combined all churches during that time, 300 and something, I think 26, and made Christianity state religion. Now again, somebody said, no, he didn't make it a state religion. Well, he combined them all and he put himself as head of the church. Oh yeah. And he also mentioned that. Okay. Head of the church. Who is the head of the church? It's Jesus. The Pope, the first Pope, the Emperor, Constantine, made himself head of the church. And after him, every emperor was head of the church, of the Catholic Church. Until 500 and something, until Rome fell. And at that point, the Bishop of Rome became Pope. Why the Bishop of Rome? Now, the Bishop of Rome, before Rome fell, never was called Pope. Now, should this Taylor Marshall know that? I think so. He should. But he's not saying that, of course. He's not doing that research. No, he wants to stick with the belief that Peter was the first Pope. Oh, on Peter, the church is built. Well, guess what? If my church is built, or if his church is built on Peter, it's not the same as my church, because my church that I belong to is built on Jesus. the cornerstone, that rock, not the little rock. Peter was the little rock, but he said, on this rock, on me, the cornerstone, the church is built. Every building, the cornerstone is the most important stone that the building is built on. Masons know that. Freemasons know that, because they always lay the cornerstone. Cornerstone is Jesus, not Peter. And even if you go from that statement, oh, Peter is that rock that Jesus addressed, no, Peter is not the rock that Jesus addressed. We should know that the church is built on Jesus, not on Peter. But even if you go by just doing a search about, Pope, you should end up where? With the Roman emperors. Again, does Taylor Marshall know that? I would think so. So he is stuck in untruth, and he wants to teach us the truth. Of course, he teaches some of the truth. I saw this video when he was addressing, should we support Israel? And he says, no, because Israel is not truly, from God. It's a worldly country. And then he goes and talks about dispensationalism and how these Christians are deceived by dispensationalism. And yeah, he traces dispensationalism back to Darby, but he doesn't go further back. Where did Darby get his false information about the Antichrist? And this man of sin, or this Antichrist coming at the end, sitting himself in the temple of God. Where does he get this misinformation, this false interpretation? Well, he didn't say he got it from Francisco Ribera, this Jesuit professor from 1500. He didn't say that. Should Taylor Marshall know that? I think he should. He really should. It's kind of a shame. Now, I don't know, is he just ill-informed, which I cannot imagine, because, again, he has a PhD. I'm quite sure he studied all these things. Did he only get certain information and not all? That really dispensationalism is really can be traced back to this book that this guy Francisco Ribera wrote in 1500 something as a Counter-Reformation act. I don't know, can he or is he not? But then I have to question everything. I watched this video and he's telling me all about this dispensationalism and Christian Zionism, and even how some pope did not support the state of Israel. Well, the worldly state, we can always say, okay, we acknowledge the worldly state of Israel, that's for sure. It's just a country like all the other countries. It doesn't have a special standing with God or anything. And, he says that the Pope that lived during that time, I don't remember which one he quoted, said clearly, no, Israel is not from God. They cannot prove, anymore, because, of course, they were rejected by God. I mean, they were even kicked out of the land because they didn't accept Messiah. So yeah, I could say, yeah, Marshall, go. Or Taylor, go, great. And then all of a sudden, of course, you come across things that just don't make sense. Like, for instance, he's not going to Francisco Ribera and say, well, maybe this Darby got this stupid information or crazy information about the Antichrist and all this nonsense from this Francisco Ribera. Look it up. You can look it up on Wikipedia from Francisco Ribera and look his book, Antichrist, what he wrote in that book. I have done this video. If you've been watching me long enough, then you know. I'm not going to bring it up this time. And surely, should he know that information? Should he have that information? Yeah, he should. Okay? So, yeah, and then another thing he says, oh, Israel is the church. Israel is the church. I have to distinguish, or not Israel, but New Israel is the church. He's saying, well, this Israel is nothing anymore. God now goes by the New Israel. And yes, it's true. New Israel, not New Israel, but the Israel of God is definitely all believers. And it's not just the church we have today, but it's the Jews and the Gentiles together. He makes it the New Jerusalem. That's not what the Bible's using. Okay, I used in my last video the Israel of God. That is, yes, a New Jerusalem. No, it's not a New Jerusalem. It's the same Jerusalem. Okay? These branches that didn't bring any fruit were cut off, and these wild olive, I think it's olive branches, were propped in, which are the Gentiles. So it's not a new Israel, it's an old Israel, but it was cleaned. All the bad ones were cut off, and the new ones were propped in. So no, I don't agree that it's the new Israel. Okay? New Israel. It's the old Israel. It's the same Israel from the beginning, in which only believers were actually put. Only believers were put, unfortunately, of course, well, it's not unfortunately, but, you're born an Israelite and you think, you belong to the Israel of God, but you don't. It's not your birthright that puts you there, which I said in my last video. It is what? It is by faith. It's by faith that you're propped in. It's by faith you're kept in the, in the tree. It's by being connected to Jesus Christ. Because if you're not connected to Jesus Christ and you don't bring fruit, hey, don't you think that God's going to cut you off as well and trim you? So yeah, he is correct in that. And of course, people he's also talking about, he's got a book out talking about, of course, end times. I think Revelation or something. And if he makes very important mistakes, in that regard, well, how many mistakes will he make teaching end times prophecy? And how many people is he deceiving with his theology? This is always what we have to be watching. And always watching that there's people that say, yeah, that is correct, that's correct, that's correct. But then they're taking us in a different direction because we're opening our minds and we are taking the little carrot or whatever, the bait, and we're not continuing to check what they're saying, if that what they're saying is correct. So we have to be very careful. We have to be careful when people say certain things. Also, when he's saying, well, the new Israel is the church, when he says that, what does he think the church is? Okay? The ecclesia, the assembly of Christ. Now, what I learned from what the church is in the Roman Catholic Church, that is the church building, right? Church building. And of course, Catholics believe you're only a believer if you belong to the Catholic Church. Not really, you belong to Jesus and you follow Jesus. Again, who is the head of the church? Who is the cornerstone of the church? It's always Jesus. Jesus is the head. But what did Constantine do? He threw out the head and put himself as head. That's who Pope is nowadays. Pope is the one who's telling us what we are supposed to be doing. And that is not true. Nobody, no human being has the right to put themselves in the place of Jesus. Jesus is always the head of the body. Jesus is the head of the church. He is the cornerstone of the temple of God. And it has nothing, and he is right, has nothing to do with Israel today. Israel today is a state, and that's all it is. It's called a state. And they stole, really, I'm going to say it the way it is. They stole that name. That name belongs to the true Israel. All followers of Israel or Jacob or Abraham. True followers. That's who Israel is. And the Jews took that and made it the name of a country. Again, just like the church, Israel was really the name of the assembly of the believers. You understand that? Not the country they lived in, but really the assembly of the believers, of the Israelites. That was Israel. When people talk in the Bible about Israel, it's always about the people. It's not about the land they occupied. Because see, Israel could be in the wilderness. Israel could be in Egypt. Israel could be anywhere. That's what Israel was. Not the piece of land. But the people, the believer, the true believer in God, the Creator, and His Messiah. So yeah, it's interesting when we listen to these people, because they can mislead us. Again, I don't know if he I don't think he is doing it on purpose. I think he is, again, the product of deception. And you know what? Yeah, he wants to have a PhD, I guess, or he does have a PhD. And yet, what does that do him any good if he's been misled by the Jesuits? Doesn't do him any good. If he has been kept from certain information, I don't know. Was he kept from this book called, from Francisco Rivera, called Antichrist? Does he know about that book? Is he kept from the information that the first pope, really, of the Catholic Church was really the emperor, the Roman emperor, Constantine? Well, you can say that. First pope of the Catholic Church was Constantine. That's where it came from, the word Pontifex Maximus. That's where that word comes from. That's what pope is, Pontifex Maximus. I got it right here in Wikipedia, too. Now, I think the first one was Augustus. And he continues, and I'm reading at Wikipedia, the word pontifex and its derivatives, pontiff, became terms used for Christian bishops. Not all bishops, but including the bishop, but only the Bishop of Rome. The title of Pontifex Maximus was applied to the Roman Catholic Church for the Pope as its chief bishop and appears on buildings, monuments, and coins of popes of the Renaissance and modern times. Okay, so you can read that. It's interesting when you do the research. Now, did he do the research? Or did he not want to do the research? Okay, and then do a research on, okay, who is the cornerstone? Who is that rock that the church was really built on. And I talked about that before when I actually found some of his videos. I think one time he did with Glenn Beck. He did a video, and unfortunately, why would he, even interview Marshall? What is his name? Something with Marshall. Taylor Marshall, Dr. Taylor Marshall. Anyways, I'm coming to an end. Just wanted to really kind of talk about that today. Be careful about people that want to confuse you, that want to mislead you, that come across at first as, wow, yes, 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 yes. And then all of a sudden you're realizing, no, he is going the wrong direction. Why do you know he's going the wrong direction? Because you know the Bible. Because you check out the Bible. You have done the study in the Bible. And you know exactly when these people mislead you. Especially when it comes to end times. We're living in the end times. I don't know if Jesus is coming back next year. The signs are accumulating. And I know one of these years he is returning. And we need to know about that. We need to be prepared. We need to not be misled. And that is the whole thing about my channel. Great deceptions at the end times, people. The end times, great deceptions. Now, okay, these deceptions probably have been around for a long time. But we're living in the end times, and I think Satan is getting worse with these deceptions. We're coming to more and more crossroads where we have to choose the right side, where we have to walk in the right side and not be pulled along with the wrong things. And we need to know what we believe, what our belief is built on. We need to understand Jesus' teachings, Paul's teaching, Peter's teaching, the teachings of the Bible, and then go in the Old Testament and see how they fit in with the New. Not, we go in to run after the rabbis. They can tell us what the Old Testament says. No, the rabbis do not have the Holy Spirit. And the rabbis go only by Talmud, by the false teachers. You need to also maybe do some research on Talmud and the people that wrote the commentaries in the Talmud. Yeah, you should do that. How many crazy Jews that existed within even the last 2,000 years and added crazy theology to the Talmud. But we are greatly deceived if we do not have a very strong foundation in the Bible. Do not listen to anything unless you have checked it out with the Bible and really read everything around that verse. So many people, like I told you in my last video, they quote, what was it again? I think it was Genesis 12:3. Okay, when they say, we're supposed to be blessing Israel. It doesn't say anything about Israel. If you're blessing Israel, what Israel? The state of Israel that didn't even exist in the past? A country that has nothing to do with God? A people of Israel? Why should we bless the Jews when they are not even following God or Jesus? Okay, who should we bless? We should be blessing the people that are following the commandments of God and the plan of God, like Abraham and Israel, Jacob. Those are the ones we can bless. Not people that are falling or going astray and are denying God and his plan. How can we bless those kind of people? People, you need to think. Coming to an end. Let the Holy Spirit guide you always.